Good evening and welcome to the October 4th, 2017 legislative session of the Town Board meeting. Tonight's also a special night because it is our budget hearing. But before we get started, I would ask everyone to please rise for the pledge. I have two young friends, one who visited me here in second grade from Cobbles, Gloria, and her sister Violet, and they're going to lead us in the pledge tonight. So ladies, whenever you're ready. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you please remain standing. And first off, Gloria and Violet, thank you very much. It was a nice honor for you to do that. Certainly, across this country, we have seen a tremendous amount of trauma, loss of life, and with hurricanes, and in Texas and in Florida, and certainly that horrific event in Las Vegas. And I just ask if we would take a moment of silence and just to think about all of those individuals and their families and just have some good thoughts on their behalf. So if you will, please. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Cole. Here. LaFountain.
Here.
Metzler. Here. Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here. Okay. Our first order of business is the 2018 budget. I have some sad news that our budget director, our controller, is down ill. She came in to try to make the run tonight, and I sent her home in her best interest and our best interest. And so hopefully she's resting comfortably. As our clerk reads the official notice, I will make my way to the podium, and I'll try to be an adequate stand-in for her tonight.
Town of Penfield 2018 preliminary budget and 2018 special districts budget. The legal notice was published on September 14th, 2017, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. No postcards were mailed due to this being a townwide action.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a short presentation, and I'll run through that presentation. And then in the whole light of a public hearing, it's the opportunity for the public to raise any questions about the budget, what's in the budget, not in the budget. I will do my best to answer all of your questions. If there is a question that you ask me that I can't answer, then we will get that answer and we'll post that on the website so everyone has ultimate access to that. So first off, I'd just like to highlight this is where your property tax dollar goes. Approximately 68% of that goes to the schools. 24% of that goes to county taxes, and approximately 8 cents of every dollar comes to the town of Penfield. And for that, we look at providing all of our public works, plowing the roads, our drainage work, all of our street lighting, all of our recreation, building, zoning, engineering for that 8%. So the budget for 2018 is $19.1 million. That is an increase of $334,000. Just a couple of things to take into account. We continue to see double-digit cost increases for medical. That continues to be a big issue this year. It amounts to approximately $290,000. So if you think about that 334, about 290,000 is as a result of our medical cost going up. There is also mandatory cost to our retirement, and but again, we are in fact under the tax cap again for this year. So this is how we distribute the budget dollar overall. The biggest piece of the pie are salary and benefits. The good news is that over time this board has been able to reduce that number down. We started off about 8 years ago at about 68%. That number is down to now about 58%. And then our debt service remains approximately 10% of our overall budget, and that has been relatively the case as we've gone through. As some debt has come off, some debt has gone on, most recently with White Village Parkview sewers. And then we have some equipment and capital outlay, and then contractual expenses as well. So this has been something that a number of members of the audience have asked for. So this is a little bit of historic data from 2014 through 2018. This is our benefited employee headcount. So as you can see, for 2018, we have 104 full-time positions, and we have 19 part-time positions. That one extra position is in the building department. That workload has continued to increase, not only for building, but for zoning, code enforcement, and fire marshal. And we identified a need to add a body to that particular department. So let's talk about some of our bigger departments overall. So out of the overall budget, Public Works is our largest budget at approximately $8 million, about 42% of the overall budget. That group takes care of 285 lane miles of road that we plow. And we also plow and support some of the maintenance for some of the state and county work to the tune of about 131 miles there as well. We plow 43 miles of sidewalk, and we have more than 359 miles of storm and sanitary sewers. And it is our goal that we continue to actually camera that and keep maintenance up on that so that we keep any problems to a minimal. And then our Parks Department takes care of about 380 acres of parks, so different forms and fashion, maintaining equipment, make sure that fields are lined for sports and things along those lines. Our library accounts for about $1.9 million, or about 10% of the budget. In 2016, the circulation was a little over 495,000 pieces. They held 513 children's programs with close to 20,000 participants, which is just fantastic to have our youngest residents spending some time in the library. And in 2016, they had almost 218,000 people visit the library during the course of the year. Our Recreation Department, about 5% of the overall budget, approximately $1 million, or just shy of $1 million. We had over 21,000 residents attend special event programs there. Our Deer program is very popular. And then Independence Day, always a big hit with everybody. And we had approximately 8,000 spectators that took that in during this past 4th of July. From an equipment outlay for 2018, we're looking at about $1.4 million for that. So to give you an idea, if we buy a new plow truck, that new plow truck is approximately $250,000 fully equipped. So in 2018, we're buying one of our major plow trucks and a couple smaller vehicles for highway. We're also buying a couple of replacement vehicles for different departments that have pretty much aged out. In one case, I think we're at about 12 years. And we got notified that the frame is starting to rot, so we've got to finally break down. But I will say that we are very careful to make sure that we get our money's worth out of the vehicles. I would say that the average person probably doesn't keep their vehicle for 12 or more years. And some of our big equipment will keep as long as 15 or 16 years overall. So this is how the equipment money will be spent for this coming year, for 2018. And this is equipment and capital money to be spent. So we've got the heavy duty and light equipment, that's about 45%. We have some road improvements. We have some facility improvements, parks, and then computers and field equipment that we have and keep updated for our employees to make sure that they're able to do their job. We have broken the $3 billion mark for assessed valuation for the town. We're at $3.1 billion, and we continue to see growth in this area, and it's actually a 2.08% increase from the 2017 valuation. As we take a look at kind of a summary of our preliminary general government budget, if you take a look, we have three major components to our budget. That's our general fund, our highway fund, and our library fund. And then you can also see our estimated revenues that come in that we're proposing to see for 2018. We have used specifically in the general fund, we have a reserve fund balance contribution of $165,000. And then from a fund balance standpoint, we contributed to the general as part of the budget $125,000, and from the library $50,000. So as you can see, overall, the resulting tax levy is $8.47 million, and with the town's taxable assessment being over $3.1 billion, the anticipated tax rate remains at $2.69 per thousand, and that's similar to what it is for this year and the previous year. From a non-tax revenue standpoint, so we get sales tax, we receive mortgage tax, and other revenue coming into the town. We are looking at approximately $7.4 million. That's an approximate increase of $200,000 or 2.7%. And we've had very favorable sales tax increase overall. From an anticipated tax rate, again, for 2018, if you take an average house of $190,000, you would pay at a rate of $2.69. The average tax bill would be $511.70. That was what it was, again, in 2017, and will remain in 2018 as well. So the general governmental budget, if we do the roll-up, if you take a look, first column is 2018 preliminary, and then we estimate out 3 years. This has been a practice the town has done to get a sense of where things will be as we go through. It's one of the things our bonding companies look at to make sure that we're keeping track and keeping pace properly with our budget overall. We're estimating appropriations to increase minimally at an average rate of 1.5%, which is slightly less than the consumer price index for the Northeast, and that the tax levy variance estimates increase minimally as well to look to meet the state's average levy cap. So there is a state tax cap in place. The town of Penfield has met that each year, and with this budget meets it as well. Now we briefly get into our special districts. We have a number of special districts. First of all, we have our sanitary sewer operations and debt service, and so the cost of those services combined is $107.36, which is approximately $2 less than 2017. As we move on to drainage, Drainage is going to see a slight uptick. So with a typical household assessed for 10 units, the average cost will be $38.80. And for the townwide lighting district, the rate proposed to be just under 6 cents per thousand for an average bill of $11.21. And for intensified lighting districts, the rate will be $24.59 per parcel. That's those subdivisions that specifically requested to have added street lights, so they have street lights at approximately every house. And that's not covered by the broader town, that's covered by the specific district, and those residents pay for that. As we move on to the consolidated water, the rate is estimated to be 52 cents per average household. Of the amount appropriated to the water fund, a portion of that is for the Thomas Cove Water District. Residents in that district pay approximately $1.45 or approximately $275 per household or homeowner. Our ambulance district, as well as our northeast quadrant, those both remain the same as they were in 2017. These are monies that are collected on their behalf, so not only for Penfield Ambulance, but then also for Northeast, and then we pass that money right back to those individuals. And to give you an idea, for the Penfield Ambulance, the average homeowner will pay $4.14, and for Northeast Quadrant, $2.41. Our fire districts, they are a separate entity, and they are a line item on the tax bill. And so to give you an idea, in Penfield we have three fire districts, Penfield, West Webster, and Northeast Joint. And you can see that each one of them, these are the rates that they are proposing for 2018. Certainly more information, more detail is available on the fire department's websites if you'd like to go into a little bit more detail for those. And then just doing a summary, because we talked about the budget and we talked about the special districts. If we put the two of them together, you see that for 2018, we're looking at $19.1 million, less our estimated revenues that are coming in and projected to come in at $7.4 million. We have less reserve fund balance of approximately $165,000, and then we have less our fund balance contribution of $192,000, and the amount to be raised by taxes for 2018 is $11.3 million. So that is a high-level overview. This presentation, as well as a summary of the budget, is online. I think that was put online either Monday or Tuesday of this week. So if you go online, you can see the original budget that was presented to the board. That was our tentative budget. We moved from the tentative budget to the preliminary budget. And based on the input that we received tonight, and then over the next 7 to 10 days, the board will prepare a final budget that we'll look to adopt on October 18th at our next legislative session. So with that, I'll make my way back to the dais, and we'll entertain any questions from anyone. And I'll start with our town clerk and ask, did anyone sign up? And if you didn't, that's okay. Did anyone sign up to speak or address the board on the budget?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So with that, I would ask, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on the 2018 budget? So if you have other interests or questions about town and town operations, we have two public participation sections. So this portion right here is specific to the budget. So if there's any specific questions to the budget, current budget 17, proposed budget 18, would welcome those comments. Mr. Burns.
I just have a quick question.
If you would come, you know the drill. You do know the drill.
Jeff Burns, 39 Scarborough Park. And I understand there were questions that were submitted either by email or phone or something, and I didn't want to duplicate what was being asked, so
we do have one question that was turned in to our town clerk, and I'll ask our clerk to read that, and then you can stay right there and ask any of the other questions that you have.
Sure.
What is the thinking behind the significant reduction in budget information currently being made available for public review? Up until 2017, the budgets were published in full detail. Now we can only see the summary numbers at the departmental level, and that is a question from Bob Peterson.
Okay. So I will say that the budget information on the website today is exactly the same that was on the website in 2017 as it was in 2016. So if the question is pre that, I know that there were a number of worksheets and things that were put together by Mr. Beeden. What we put on the website is what is required by the state of New York. Any other questions on the budget? Town clerk?
There is one pertaining to Shadow Pines. What expenditures are planned and budgeted for the Shadow Pines referendum, including any associated spending such as direct mailings to residents and environmental testing that the town might have to undertake?
So there is no money in the 2018 budget for Shadow Pines. The budget for 2018 is a reflection of overall operations. Historically, this town and this town board, anytime there is any type of a bond that comes, all of those costs are collected and are made part of the overall bond that we go out for. So if as we move forward in 2017, 2018, and any dollars are expended, those will be collected, and they will be added on to a bond resolution that we would put forth.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burns, the floor is yours.
Okay, so going to that question about Shadow Pines, what about the expenses that would be anticipated for the referendum? Are they provided for in the budget? Because you've mentioned several times
No. So let me repeat myself. There is no money or dollars allocated in the 2017 or 2018 for Shadow Pines.
Mm-hmm.
If we get to a point that we need to expend any of those monies for that referendum, that's yet another use of our fund balance.
Okay.
Those dollars are collected. They are added on in addition to any soft cost dollars. Those soft cost dollars could be bond counsel and any other financials that you have to do. It's all put together, and the bond is put forth for that full amount, the amount of a purchase and the amount of all of the other related costs.
Okay, so I think the question was related to the actual referendum cost, and I understand from you that that would come from the fund balance.
That is correct.
And then would that also include any communications, I mean, additional expenses for communications?
It would be all up and in, Jeff. It would be all up and in. Any and all costs associated would be collected and would be part of the bond that we would go out for.
Okay. I guess I don't understand the terminology. When you say that it'd be collected, I guess I don't understand what that means. From the general fund?
We essentially keep track of the dollars. Mm-hmm. So if we spend $50 on advertising, we spend $50 on engineering, we spend $50 on something else, we gather all of those dollars, we identify them, and then when we go out for a bond, we would include any and all expenses that the town had.
Okay. So are you anticipating that there would be any expenses in looking at, I mean, like you've already had an appraisal of the property. What about, are those expenses through the general fund, or are they?
We've collected all of those, and any and all expenses that we've had, we have collected, and like I say, will be made part of a bigger bond resolution if we move forward with that.
Right. So those expenses then will be kind of reimbursed by the bond once we have a bond. Is that the way it works?
Exactly.
I see. Okay. And And then that would also include then any environmental testing that would be done that the town does?
I just said,
Yeah.
it's everything.
Okay, good. And then on a different topic, there was a question about money in the budget for the comprehensive master plan update. Previously, you had said this would be done in-house, and there was no money in the 2017 budget, but in previous years, there was money allocated for this project. So for the comprehensive master plan, is it the same sort of, there's not going to be a bond involved, but
That is
does it
correct.
just come from the general fund?
No,
or-
we've got money set aside in the 2018 budget. The engineering department does have some dollars in 2017 that will be allocated to start the process up. We're in the process of looking to select a committee, so we haven't completed that process yet, but we'll be looking to complete that process here shortly. And then any cost that will be received for that comprehensive plan in 2017 will be covered under the engineering budget.
Okay. And money for tasks like environmental impact and reclamation studies would be part of that?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So I would have other questions not related to the budget, so I'll hold those for, is there going to be another time to ask other questions?
Like we normally do, we have two public participations, and get comfortable, and we'll see you back in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good, thank you. Ed? Ed Linskog, 40 Willow Pond Way.
Thank you. Question on street lighting. If we proceed with updates for street lighting with a more energy efficient fixture, how does that affect what we pay for the services, and how does that reflected in the budget for street lighting?
So what will happen is that we've got a long-term plan because to go through, and I'd have to just verify this, but to give you an idea, it's approximately about $500,000 or more for us to go out and change out all of the fixtures that we have today. And so this board has indicated that what they would like to do is to have that accomplished over a period of time. And so we had money in the 2017 budget for Jim Kreckman to work on that. We have money in the 2018 budget for that as well. So as we get those costs, certainly as we're putting our budgets together, that's a factor that we take a look at. Again, depending upon where rates are, sometimes rates are higher or lower depending upon any given year. We try to approximate what we're spending on both gas and electric during the course of any year, and then that's figured in as part of that. So as we get more online, there will be that opportunity for greater savings. Short term, right now, I think we've got 40 or 50 lights that are planned. That will be a small amount that we'll see, but as we replace all of the 450 or so lights that we have, that obviously should have a more significant impact on overall energy costs.
Is that a rental fee per fixture by the power company?
No, many years ago now, probably close to 20 years ago, Linda and I, working with then Supervisor Chan Philbrick, we moved in a direction of actually purchasing our streetlights from RG&E. I think we were the first, but we were at least one of the first in Monroe County to do that. Actually, one of the first in New York State to do that, because what was happening is month on month we were getting dinged for those lights. So we're getting dinged for energy, we're getting dinged for lights. So now all of those lights are owned by the town of Penfield. There are assets. So whenever a bulb needs to be replaced, a fixture needs to be replaced, we cover the cost of that. But that model saved the town a considerable amount of money at the time. I'd have to go back, deep into the records, but the business case to do that was a very short payoff.
How does that reflect in what you pay for usage? Is that per fixture? Or
So we do get a use charge per fixture. That is correct.
and is it adjusted yearly or as written?
I know, Ed, that Jim Kreckman works very closely with RG&E on that. I can get a little bit more detail specifically on that, but I know Jim on a regular basis meets with RG&E to, one, make sure that the number of units that we're being charged for are the number of units that we actually have. Obviously, we have an obligation. And there's a process that if we add a fixture, we have to fill out some required forms so they can add it to our bill. If we remove a fixture, the same thing works. But Jim is our person that coordinates all of that.
So if a fixture's on 24 hours a day, it doesn't cost you any more than if it's only on 8 hours a day?
I'm gonna, so I don't get too far out on a limb, I would verify, I'd be happy to verify that with Jim.
Okay.
Because again, I don't want to be out on a limb and
Well, I know there's several
too far.
lights that are malfunctioning because of a photocell deficiencies, so they're on all the time. So I was just wondering whether we were getting charged for 24 hours of use, or?
I could only speculate, and rather than doing that, I would rather have Jim provide me a little bit of information on that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Ed. Anyone else that would like to address the board on the budget? Yes, sir.
James Ebmeyer, 2020 Baird
Good
Road.
to see you, Jim.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
One of the questions dealt with the Shadow Pines thing, and that's already been covered.
Okay.
The other thing I had on the list was highway improvements. And I hadn't seen, maybe it's listed someplace, which I hadn't seen in terms of projected redoing of any highways, roads, resurfacing, or whatever else in the town. This year, we've had Wayland Road from 5 Mile around to Atlantic Avenue resurfaced. I don't know why, because there was nothing wrong with it. We've had 5 Mile line from State Road North to the town line with Webster resurfaced. There was nothing wrong with that either. So it's, how are these decisions made when we've got a road like right around the corner here, Jackson Road, original Jackson Road, not the extension, which is very narrow. There's no shoulder for people to walk on or bicycles to ride on, et cetera. That seems to me needs to be redone. But we're spending money on resurfacing roads that don't seem to be spent. And maybe some of that's county money, but I would hope that the town has an influence with the town, with the county, on how they're spending money on roads in the town of Penfield.
Sure.
So are there any line items in the budget that project where the town is going to spend money on road work?
We tend to put money in for a couple of different aspects. One is oil and stone, that we do approximately 13 to 15 miles a year for that. And then we do some paving, and some of the paving is full reclamation, like what we're doing on White Village, Parkview Drive right now. It could be just going through and doing some slight milling and then doing some retopping of some things. What we do is we have a pavement improvement program, and we take a look at that and update that on an annual basis. And we adjust our monies where there is the need, and that's what we try to do. I want to specifically talk about Wayland Road and 5 Mile Line Road. Both of those projects are county roads, as well as Jackson Road. And so we certainly provide input and feedback to the county and state, for that matter, and give them our thoughts, opinions, and experience that we have. Sometimes they will support that. Sometimes they have plans. I know that due to the amount of traffic on Wayland Road from the quarry, they tend to keep extra close eye on that, and I think that's why we may have seen some work done this year. As it relates to Jackson Road, I know there was some concerns because there needs to be some work with some trees along that area, and some other expansion that residents haven't been fully supportive of. And I know the county has put some of that off as they've tried to work through that. Also, I think what you're going to see, if my information is correct, you'll start to see some gas main updates or replacements along Jackson Road. And I think right now they've got it, again, from roughly the Phaeton Brome Drive area down to the last roadway that goes in often Jackson Road to the west, which is escaping me right now. But you're going to start to see some of that this fall. We've been working with them because they've had to be working in our easement, but we know they're going to be doing some tearing up, and I think the county is also waiting for that work to be done so they don't do something only to have it dug up by RG&E and then have to redo a new road.
But that sounds like Jackson Road extension.
No, actually, they're doing Jackson Road, again, from Brome north towards Atlantic Avenue.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the original Jackson Road.
Oh, you're talking, I
past
apologize,
Penfield Presbyterian Church.
going from Presbyterian Church down to Wayland.
Yeah, the rest of
So
Jackson Road.
that is.
Wide
Yep.
shoulders.
Yep.
It doesn't need resurfacing, as far as I can see when I drive down that frequently. But the original Jackson Road,
Which is a town road.
right, very narrow. And as I say, for pedestrians or bicyclers, there's no place for them unless they're walking in somebody's front yard or they're on the street. And to me, that's been long overdue from a general safety perspective for motorists and the residents who live in that area. There are over 80-some houses either on that part of Jackson Road or the couple of streets that branch off of Jackson. And so I'm surprised that this has not come up years ago, because there's nothing been changed in that road, no improvements to it, no widening, no anything.
For a lot of years, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
very
Jim.
much.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on the budget? Okay, now I'll ask the board any specific questions of the controller or acting controller?
Good presentation.
All right, thank you. Seeing no further comments or questions on the budget, I'll declare the public hearing for the 2018 budget and special districts closed. We'll move on to communications and announcements, and I'll first recognize our town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Residents who are looking to apply, renew, or would like to get a U.S. passport are invited to attend our next passport night in Penfield on Tuesday, October 17th from 5:30 to 7:30 here in the Town Hall Auditorium. Applications for a U.S. passport book or card will be processed at this event. The passport book allows travel anywhere worldwide by air, land, or sea, while a card is valid for travel to Canada, Mexico, Bermuda, and the Caribbean only. Applications for a New York State enhanced driver's license will not be processed at this event. If residents wish to schedule an appointment, they can call me at 340-8629. However, walk-ins are welcome. This event comes to Penfield in partnership with the Monroe County Clerk's Office, and additional information is available on monroecounty.org/clerks-passports. Also, Election Day for this year will be held Tuesday, November 7th, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at designated polling locations. If you are unsure of which polling location to go to, you can visit monroecounty.gov or call the County Board of Elections office at 753-1550. Due to the election, the mobile DMV office that we house here on Tuesdays in the auditorium will not be available on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. Penfield's annual community bike drop will be held on Saturday, October 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Penfield Community Center, 1985 Baird Road. Used bicycles will be collected by Penfield Rotary and donated to our Community Bikes, a Rochester-based organization that repairs and distributes bicycles free of charge to Rochester's needy children and adults. Its mission is to meet the basic transportation needs of those in the community who depend on bikes to get to work, school, rehabilitation programs, and training sessions, as well as for recreation. More information about our community bikes can be found at www.ourcommunitybikes.net. Receipts will be provided documenting all donations. The bike drop is free and open to the public and sponsored by Penfield Rotary and Penfield Recreation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 2 announcements this evening. The Penfield Department of Public Works will be a site of the town's annual Recycling Day event to be held on Saturday, October 14th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Services for the day will include secure document destruction, recycling of metals and home appliances, brush drop-off, and donations of clothing and linens. The DPW is located at 1607 Jackson Road. Recycling Day is for Penfield residents only, and if you have any additional questions, you can contact 340-8710 or visit penfield.org. Please note that this is not an electronics recycling event. However, Senator Funky to the rescue. On Saturday, October 7th, that's this Saturday, Senator Rich Funky will be hosting a free event at the Medley Center in Arundecoit from 9 a.m. to noon. Bring your old electronics to be recycled by Sun King. Again, that's an electronics recycling event held by Senator Rich Funky this Saturday from 9 to noon in Arundecoit off East Ridge Road, the Medley Center. That's all I have for this evening.
Great, thank you. I have 2 announcements. My first announcement is that I want to inform the residents of Penfield that we have a signed letter of intent between the town of Penfield and Dolomite Corporation to acquire real property known as Shadow Lake Golf Course. So the town continues working with Shadow Pines, I apologize, thank you, Shadow Pines. Thank you. The town continues to work very closely with Dolomite towards a purchase agreement, and as we have more information, we'll continue to keep everyone updated, and we'll update our website as well. There are a number of conditions and factors that we have to work through, but certainly we'll continue in good faith to look to prepare all the information for, again, acquisition of Shadow Pines. My second announcement is that Penfield Town offices will be closed on Monday, the 9th, in observance of Columbus Day. And the library will be open their normal business hours, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday the 8th, or Monday the 9th. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This month, the Penfield Trails Committee will be offering a free public hike on Saturday, October 14th, beginning at 10 a.m. The hike will be located at Monroe County's Lucian Morin Park off Empire Boulevard in the LaSalle's Landing. Participants will travel through the heavily wooded areas along Arundecoit Creek. Participants are encouraged to pre-register by contacting Penfield Recreation, 340-8655. Also, please join friends and neighbors at the family Halloween event held here in Penfield at the Community Center on Friday, October 20th. Enjoy the following free activities from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Games, trick-or-treats, hay rides, crafts, music, and more. For details, please visit penfieldrec.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicole.
I have 2 announcements. Penfield Rotary's Fall Euchre Tournament will be held Sunday, October 15th at the Legacy at Willow Pond. Check-in time is 2 p.m. The Rotary Club hosts a tournament each fall and spring to help support various community and international projects. Participation will be limited to 100 people. Prizes will be awarded. For complete details, go to penfieldrotary.org. And my next announcement is my community chat will be held Tuesday, October 17th from 5:30 to 7 at the library, at the new book area. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. We'll move on to public participation. There are 2 opportunities to address the board on any matter at this time, and then again at the end of the agenda. You can do that one of 3 ways. If you're here in the audience, you can call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I would ask, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, Jeff?
Thank you. Hi, everybody, again. So that's great news about Shadow Pines. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm sure a lot of people in town will be very happy to hear about that. People were getting pretty nervous about this. It had been 13 months since the moratorium committee had made its recommendation for the town to purchase the land, and more than 6 months since the general manager of Dolomite stated at a town board meeting that Dolomite was eager to make a deal with the town. So I'm very happy to hear this news, and I know that a lot of people will be, so thank you. Back in the 1970s, town supervisor Irene Gossin wanted to purchase this land as a park, and the land was recognized then for its uniqueness and the value to the town. And with all the development going on in Penfield, it's an even more important area than ever to preserve for future generations. I'm sure you all saw there was a recent DNC article where the Webster town supervisor, where they're having a similar issue of a golf course that's looking like it may be put under development, he indicated that any land zoned residential is free to be developed. So a remaining issue for the town of Penfield is our zoning categories and classifications. We've talked about this in the past, about trying to add a classification system, a classification for recreation and open space. So I'd like to know a little bit more about what direction we're intending to go with that. And I know that it has something to do also with the comprehensive plan that'll be coming along.
So the board has had conversations about that and have been exploring alternatives for that. Certainly, we're running parallel with the comprehensive plan, and but that doesn't mean that we have to wait for the comprehensive plan. So the board has been looking at that, working with staff on that, and that's a component that we have not forgotten about and continue to keep on the radar.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And the article that was in the DNC also quoted a developer with Combat Construction, which works with Ryan Homes, and he indicated that a moratorium only delays development and doesn't prevent it. Now, hopefully that won't be the case in Penfield, and I think you're doing the right things, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. I know that this has been a lot of work, and it's gone on for a long time, and I really appreciate everything that each one of you have done in terms of helping make this happen. But he also said that it was his guess that the town of Penfield won't come up with the money for Shadow Pines, and he hopes that he'll end up with it and be able to put up Ryan Homes there. So again, I hope that...
And I would say, I won't speak for the full board, I'll speak for myself. I hope he's wrong.
Thank you. Okay. And I hope you all feel that way. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board, again, on any matter?
Oh. Can I interject one other question? It was something I forgot, sorry.
It's a sign of age, Jeff. That's okay. I live it every day.
I just hit 60 recently, so I think you're right.
And wait. It doesn't get any better.
When we do have something with a referendum, will the language of the referendum be public before it's put on the, will we have time to participate in terms of what language would be used in the referendum, and the nature of the referendum? Will it provide proposals for potential use of the land? Will that be part of the referendum, or how will that work?
What I would say is that the first time you see it won't be on the ballot.
Good, okay. So we'll have an opportunity to comment.
As we continue to move forward, certainly working with Dolomite, working towards a final purchase agreement.
Good. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Last call? Still another opportunity? Do I see my friend Gloria coming to chat? Oh, no, that's okay. Not a problem, I won't call her out on that.
We could do that sometime.
Yeah, right. So with that, I'll ask our board, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we have the minutes of the August 16th, 2017 Town Board meeting, and I would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I move that the August 16th minutes be approved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Petitions. Has the town board, town clerk, or town attorney received any petitions since our last get-together? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to resolutions by function, and we'll start with law and finance, please.
Authorization for the supervisor to sign a contract with Barton and LaJudas, P.C., for professional engineering services related to the Allens Creek Restoration Project.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the property owners along Allens Creek experienced substantial property loss during heavy rains, whereas a preliminary stream corridor assessment was completed and reviewed the erosion problems along Allens Creek and provided recommendations for a repair project. Whereas Barton and LaJudas has submitted a proposal to complete the design plans and obtain permits from both federal and state agencies for creek restoration projects. Whereas the town board desires to protect the water quality within the sensitive ecosystem of Arundecoit Creek and Arundecoit Bay, as required under Phase 2 stormwater regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign a contract with Barton and LaJudas, P.C., to provide engineering services for Allens Creek Restoration Project for a cost not to exceed $83,000. The cost of the engineering services shall be paid from the townwide drainage levy. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussions?
Mr. Supervisor, I would just
Yes.
like to make a couple comments. I sit on the Watershed Management Committee as the town board liaison, and this has been on our discussion agenda for quite some time, and certainly on our radar in terms of drainage. We've got some residents in that area who are experiencing some significant erosion due to Allens Creek, and there's been some real challenges in that area. We've had members of our committee go out with staff and check out exactly what's going on. So I'm very pleased to see this go forward, and really appreciate the work of those who sit on the Watershed Management Committee, as well as our town staff has done a lot of work on this. I also would like to add that as we all know, bodies of water don't often exist in just one municipality, and I'm proud that Penfield is leading the way when it comes to Allens Creek, and that the Penfield residents on Allens Creek are going to see some relief that I am sure, hopefully the residents of Brighton will at some point in time be able to see from their end as well. But we're pleased to be able to take this step to help the Penfield residents out who are experiencing some significant issues in that area.
Thank you. Other discussions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement to allow a fence within a drainage easement at 11 Meadowlark Drive.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement with Matt and Melissa Simons, owners of the property at 11 Meadowlark Drive, to permit a portion of a fence to encroach in a drainage easement. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? See no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Granting approval to allow a storage shed with less buffer to a residential property than permitted at 2074 5 Mile Line Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board pursuant to Chapter 250-5.10F3 of the code to consider permitting a storage shed with less buffer to a residential property than permitted at 2074 5 Mile Line Road in the Four Corners zoning district. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Penfield held a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on September 6, 2017 at 7 p.m. to consider this application. Now be it resolved that the applicant's request to allow a storage shed with less buffer to a residential property than permitted at 2074 5 Mile Line Road is hereby granted, subject to the following conditions. For the record, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to add that these conditions, there are roughly 4 of them, and these are all consistent with the Four Corners zoning district that we've seen time and time again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for reference, this property is the Charles Finney School on 5 Mile Line Road. Seeing no further comments or discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Granting approval of a conditional use permit to allow live music on the outdoor dining area at Jeremiah's Tavern located at 2164 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for the issuance of a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 250-5.5C2 of the code to allow live music in outdoor dining area of Jeremiah's Tavern at 2164 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road, located in the Business Non-Retail Zoning District. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Penfield held a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on September 6th at 7 p.m. to hear anyone and consider this application pertaining to the outdoor live music permit. Now therefore be it resolved that the applicant's request to allow live music on the outdoor dining area of Jeremiah's Tavern at 2164 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road is hereby granted, subject to the following conditions. A couple conditions that I'll list. The applicant shall be permitted to have acoustical, thank you, acoustical music only on outdoor dining patio. At no time shall there be amplified music, which would not be permitted to the exterior of the restaurant without approval by this board. Number 2, the applicant shall be permitted to have acoustical music on outdoor dining patio between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Any modification to the approved hours and days shall be reviewed and approved by the town board. At no time shall music levels go beyond the property line of the property. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Discussion.
No.
Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Awarding the contract for the Department of Public Works Greenwood Park Playground equipment purchase and installation.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas sealed bids were sought and requested in a manner prescribed by law to furnish the Department of Public Works with a contract that would provide the town of Penfield with the purchase and installation of new playground equipment for Greenwood Park. Whereas on September 22nd, 2017, the following sealed bids were received, opened, and read publicly from the following list of suppliers: Titan Development, American Recreational Products, and Miracle Recreation Equipment. Whereas the bid received from Titan Development was the lowest bid and meets the expectation and specifications of the bid package for a total cost of $57,725, and there are funds totaling $30,000 available in the 2017 budget for this project. And whereas the town board approves the appropriation of $27,725 from the town's Recreation Trust Special Revenue Fund as an amendment to the 2017 budget to fully fund this project. Now therefore be it resolved that a contract is awarded to Titan Development to provide and install new playground equipment for Greenwood Park. This resolution and the bid submitted by Titan Development shall constitute the contract. This agreement is to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization to sign new snow and ice agreement with New York State Department of Transportation.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town board adopted resolution number 16T-230 on December 7, 2016, authorizing a one-year extension to the 2016-2017 snow and ice agreement between the town of Penfield and the New York State Department of Transportation. Whereas the New York State Department of Transportation is now requiring a new 3-year contract, which cancels the existing extended contract. Therefore, be it resolved, the supervisor is authorized to sign the snow and ice agreement between the town of Penfield and the New York State Department of Transportation for the dates of July 2016 through July 2019 to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Before the clerk reads the next resolution, I would just ask that it be reflected that it is by Councilwoman Cole, and this is for Resolution 181 that you're about to read, that it be Councilwoman Cole versus Moore, and that it be Community Services versus Law and Finance. And with that, if you would read the resolution, please.
Yes. Authorize the town supervisor to sign a contract with the University of Rochester Medical Center School of Nursing.
So moved.
Second.
Town of Penfield desires to offer a flu vaccination clinic to area residents. The University of Rochester's Medical Center School of Nursing offers a flu vaccination clinic. Therefore, be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to sign a contract with the University of Rochester Medical Center School of Nursing to provide the flu vaccination clinic for the town of Penfield.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you. Discussion. Sounds like with a lot of coughing and sniffling around and our comptroller out, that everyone should in fact get your flu shot. So
It is timely.
with that and seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. We are now at old business. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none. Is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none. This brings us to our second public participation. If you're here in the audience, or if you would like to call in at 340-8771, or log on at penfield.org, is there anyone that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, seeing none. The next legislative session of this board is October 18, 2017. I certainly would encourage anyone that has any questions about the budget to go to our website. You can also feel free to call my office or the comptroller's office. I hope that by the end of the week or early next week, she'll be back in good health. And would encourage anyone, if you have any questions, please call us, and we will be happy to answer any questions. Also, the budget is available at the public library. There being no further business to come before the town board, the October 4th, 2017 legislative session of the board is now adjourned at 8:02 p.m. Thank you to everyone that participated, and thank you to Penfield TV.